SRB have changed anything up here, Dan? Surely. Surely.
Surely.
Surely this is going to a map 3, at least, is what we're expecting. There's some actually slight changes coming through. Pancakes before was playing the Omen. So now he's going to be playing this Viper, and then you're just kind of switching how they want to organize these roles on top of Pain that used to play the Race on this map, playing the Euro.
Yeah, I'm actually a huge fan of these compositions, to be honest. I feel like it's one of the most well-rounded comps you can have. You have so many tools available on the attack side. You have so many walls and so many ways to deny information towards the A site, as well as have a ton of util to work with in the mids, pushing players back, making the defense feel a little bit awkward, opening up a lot of opportunities and a lot of space. And of course, the Yoru having so much to work with, the space making, the distractions, the distractions even, and there's just so much utility and so many good ultimates to work with. I'm expecting an absolute brawl between these two teams on split.
It is going to be a Shopify Rebellion Black starting on that defense first too, and going with this change from the Raze to the Yoru of Paint, you have to be expecting a lot more of that operator that has been so annoying in other maps for Paint to be very present early on.
I'm excited to see the duelist matchup once again with Chaotic. Maybe a little quieter in the last series, but getting to start attacking with the Euro, I don't know. I'm excited, but it's time to head into Split to see if Shopify Rebellion Black can take down the demon of Split, or if it's going to be Landor 2-0. Be starting off this day. Let's head on over to the map and head back over to your casters, Jen and Marks.
Yeah, the key word here, surely, right? I'm getting map 3 vibes, but, you know, Roy was up to something saying, you know, how there's a lot of pressure on a team that are the stage 1 champions to win so early, and now really slipping up against the competition that have caught up.
Surely. Shopify Rebellion Black. Every time I say that now, I'm just going to keep on increasing in tone. It's going to be great. But yeah, I mean, there are a couple of changes here, like Roy kind of cemented in discussing these compositions. This is pretty like standard stuff that you can expect on Split for being a lot of just, you know, you'll want to relocate some people thanks to the salvos, push them out with the fault line, get your smokes up, get the stuns through, and then you see that flood through, especially supported by that Yoru, because the Yoru, once again, great job at just moving around and navigating into these weird areas. When all of this chaos is happening, you're able to just kind of be the dagger in the back of the other team. So I'm expecting to see a lot of that kind of at play. Excited to see Chaotic on this Yoru too, as the desk also highlighted as well, now stretching into that agent pool, but it is going to be a very quick plant from Landor, and that's what we expect on their attacking half. As Shopify Rebellion Black, they're going to have to get themselves ready for this retake 5v5. Keep an eye on where Moose is going, though, because it is far.
It's important for Landor to assess, like, what is going to be this defensive setup from SRB, but for now, you heard a bunch of people drop from that high ground. Landor just spamming through here, wraparound from Paint and Spaz. As a pair, swinging together, finds the first flood. The spike is starting to tick down. Landor has some safe positions, some to try and contest the diffuser. It doesn't even get halfway. There's even a molly on top. Moose denies not only the diffuse, but gets a frag afterwards. And SRB just may not have the time. The team will guarantee that for Landor.
Wow, just the shooting range from all the way down into spawn. An excellent job of denial as well. Moose staying alive is in the midst of all of that. Allows for a lot of that stall too, thanks to that snake bite. And it just works out. I like the effort that Shopify Rebellion Black did there. It looked like it was a very clean retake. I thought they were going to be able to take that round. And yet just at the end there, the pistol fire comes in from Teague. The support from Moose as well. Make sure that Landor find that attacking pistol round. Now moving into this next one, let's see what Shopify Rebellion have got, as they're not opting to go for a gamble stack that you see a lot of teams do nowadays. They're actually going to be splitting themselves up and looking for some of those opportunities to maybe isolate someone here or there and potentially scoop up a rifle to make this a potentially winnable round.
Can't sing Moose's praises enough, just from last map of how important his lurks were, creating options to saving that. Landor playing so far away from the spike and still pulling it off of just post-plant mollies. That's been the beauty of running the Viper, kind of like a pseudo-sentinel in that way. SRB, I just thought the teamwork was so well. I thought for sure they would have won that. Now with the better weaponry, how much can Landor bring into the next half, or next round, I should say. Very quiet clearing as Teague still has salvos too. And this is a pivot because, whoa, look at how deep Moose is. He's just kind of joined the enemy team all the way in screens. Get a backstab.
Left.
This Paint has a read on this and is going to swing with this omen of Spaz. And Moose does a good job of isolating the one and then the second.
No way.
Even while fault lined. Like I said, Moose is something else.
Key. I thought for sure it was going to be a trap that gets set up, but no, never mind. Moose is somehow able to frag his way through a majority of the members. And Chaotic finds BCJ, making this such a hard scenario here, but damage has been done. Shopify Rebellion just looking to potentially slap some of those rifles out of the hands of Landor. But yeah, not going to be the case. So clean coming in from Landor on this round. And it's just because you got a pesky little Moose all the way in the back of A who got all that space for free.
That was insane. And Pancakes, I think, is a well-regarded sentinel in terms of his lurks and super underrated, but highly respected, I think. And he's not going as deep as Moose did, at least thinking about Lotus. Yeah. Pancakes, though, is such a good anchor because he's consistent and he's a fragger usually. But if Moose keeps getting away with going wherever he wants, that's going to be a problem for SRB because even double swinging him hasn't been enough. Landor have to face a rifle round against SRB.
A little bit of early pressure there. Paint still able to escape in the midst of all of that. Chaotic taking a lot of damage as well. But still, this is going to be a lot of mid control now that Landor are able to get. Pancakes spots out people, will be able to retreat here, knows that this is going to be going B side. Secret and Moose ready to flood in for main.
Moose, the 1v1 he wins against Spaz. Because Pancakes was watching heaven. And Pancakes just got surrounded by Landor before once you realize where Landor is, or where they are, it's too little too late.
And already Shopify looks like they're going for the save here. They immediately turtle themselves onto A. And at this point, I think it's important to highlight Moose. I mean, we've been highlighting Moose quite a bit, but even before Moose went on to Cloud9, made his way up into VCT, like this was a player who was elite, was so good in so many of these different teams, even played on Moist X Shopify at one point back in the day. But since getting scooped up by Cloud9, having that VCT experience in Tier 1, Moose has only gotten even better. And the fact that Landor now have Moose in that roster, allowing, like, once again, a lot of these plays where Moose should not be getting multiple kills and is still walking away with a 2-piece or a 3-piece, it's really helping out Landor just cover all of their bases with such a powerhouse in their back line.
Mafia gets a bit closer to the Rolling Thunder, but either way, Landor had a similar strong start, but this fourth round is where SRB, I believe, took a timeout last time. They like these early timeouts, so there's not too much momentum. I think in Canada we call that icing out your opponent. We get to we get to use that as the duo, Canadian duo.
Yeah, you're icing out your opponent. It's gonna be a whistle, get the puck back onto the other side.
Yeah.
Another face off. It's going to be great. But all hockey references aside here, something surprisingly we can do a decent amount on these Challengers broadcasts. It's still these early timeouts coming in from Shopify Rebellion to really make sure that they mitigate a lot of this bleeding that came through. And I think that this is just a good move, assuming that you can kind of come out on top of it, make sure that you're ready to go, because you don't want Landor getting too much momentum behind them. Based on the last map where Landor can get 10 in a half, you want to stop that right now. You want to get things back before it starts to spiral out of control. If this was a little bit more of a hot and cold team that you were facing, then Shopify might want to hold on to that for a little bit longer, but not going to be the case. You want to pull out everything here because, once again, this is the champions of stage 1 in BCL, and they're struggling to get a win. They've only got one so far in Split 2. And you know what? They need to get this next one if they still want to be competitive in the entirety of the Challengers so far.
And both these teams are 1 and 2, like you said, and to go 1 and 3, you're on the brink of elimination. And there's still a lot of tough teams like Hubert, like M80, that that I don't know how the schedule is going to pan out that SRB haven't faced yet. So I just worry going forward just being on that last life. And it's SRB that just have to win their duels. There's a lot of isolated one-on-ones like just like this that Spaz has not been winning. I think he's 1-4 now and super off day. But just be an off start, maybe not an off match. As Landor capitalizes on the first blood. Now gate crash in. Take that teleport. Chaotic's getting aggressive up against BCJ. Chaotic was checking the corner. And BCJ's huge on this anchor. Converting a 2-on-1. It just gets even better for SRB to get back into the picture. Plant will still go through. Because having Monty around is huge. Pancakes as a judge, and from the high ground, it's not the best place to be in. The Armageddon from Teague. Get everyone into the corner. And it's easy for Teague to just address this one by one. Really getting the nerves going for SRB. Haven't made much motion towards the spike. Finally, the drop down as Pancakes ditches the judge and finds a better weapon and a better round for SRB.
Yeah, it really honestly coming down to the wire there. The one gap in the attack coming through from Landor. I've noticed this twice now. Is they're not checking just in the very back of A site. We've had someone stay alive just behind that little screen thing. That time around, BCJ able to find a couple of kills, slow Landor down long enough to allow the other people to come in, deny the plant as well. Just makes it a little bit easier for that squad to be able to do something. Somehow Pancakes finding a long-range judge kill, but given the life pool of Sacred, it kind of works out in the end there. And then just down to the fundamentals of Shopify Rebellion swinging together, going on the backside there. And they're even able to get the Armageddon out of Teague. Sure, it did force Pate to gate crash all the way onto the other side of the map, but it doesn't matter. There's more than enough time to make sure that the retake comes through. So excellent job, excellent play coming through from Shopify Rebellion here. See what we've got on this next one is already Chaotic so far deep into middle as the spike will get scooped up. Sacred playing Vanguard just outside of B. The flash comes through and Sacred goes down.
Chaotic trying to push his luck, just like teleporting into vents like that, so aggressive. In the same way he kicked off the A site push for Landor. But Payne is trying to go for big plays too, and he really came alive at the end of Lotus. Ended up not netting SRB the win, but getting them real close to a successful comeback. Pancakes has to face Bones, and this could get the spike dropped, and this could just be the end of Landor. Bones has to be really careful, and he loses that to Pancakes. And the spike is down, and this is horrible for Landor.
Yeah, it goes from a weird situation to a worse one. Trying to force the issue there. And usually we've seen Landor win out on top. Not the case this time. Spike down in such a precarious situation. Chaotic, Moose, and Teague, last members alive. Looking for an opportunity to maybe just find some exits at this point, especially with Moose just one orb away from getting that Viper Spit online. Chaotic 2 away, getting the Dimensional Drift online. A couple of different options do exist for Landor as they do decide to go for the save. And so we aren't going to be seeing that long kind of stretch out spree of rounds from Landor like we saw in the last one. Shopify Rebellion are putting a stopgap measure in. Good thing they took that time out because it's now 2-3 as this is a much closer map than we saw in the last one.
Dimensional Drift from Payne. I'm excited to see this as we'll have another timeout. From who? I mean, SRB have back-to-back wins after their timeout, but Landor going to try and fix things because this didn't feel as organized as before.
Yeah, Landor being like, we see you took a timeout. Well, we'll do you one better with our own timeout, and surely now we'll win the round. But both of these teams not shy at all from calling early timeouts. Really try and pull themselves back into the midst of all of it. Regroup their heads, make sure that everything's going well, because especially with the last round like that, where Landor looked so split up, not able to win the duels that we expected them to based off of Lotus, they need that kind of mental reset, figure out an actual plan here, and not just rely on just the raw fragging power that a lot of these players are having. Meanwhile, Shopify Rebellion, like I said, they're starting to get going here, and this is a very important, you gotta start here now if you want that potential of forcing out that map number 3, given that Landor did win map number 1.
This Paint is kind of playing like a chamber right now. It just goes for these early peaks, teleports out, but not in places that you expect. And Landor have to figure out where the heck did Paint go? And Pancakes gets to kind of clean up the two-piece in the garage, which had the spike laid down there for Landor. So I'm gonna try their hand at mid. You're not having this aggressive gate crash from Chaotic. I was expecting a lot more presence there. This Paint comes out after the flash is thrown. Paint is out of the picture for now. Is Landor gonna smoke off mid, create some tension around the area, get to maybe play off their Viper wall of Moose, but see where Landor end up.
Very indecisive right now. And this is a little bit different than what we've seen on the last ones. I mean, Shopify Rebellion, they're expecting the flood through on multiple sites, but take a look at where Landor are. They still have options open if they don't want to go on to A.
Yeah, what a fake from Chaotic, causing so much ruckus there in Heaven, while Landor got zoned off by Salvos trying to get into Heaven. So this eeny, meeny, miny, mo got a strat from Landor, but depending on at least the map control that they do have, something they can play off of, and big win for Chaotic to clear out screens. Now there won't be a defense nearby for a second, so safe plant for Landor.
Right there.
Just seen the crossby. Hello there, right there. Landor have a jump out just in time. Even with the clone, it's a good read from Chaotic, but the rest of SRB take back control of Heaven and screens, leaving Moose and Sacred to watch over. Armageddon gets this Omen out of the corner, and at range, Moose can't help watch the flank or support through main, so SRB just deathball in.
And I think that is the most important thing here. Shopify Rebellion, they move in as a squad, as a unit, to make sure they can win all of the duels up against Landor there. BCJ, once again, fragging out, making sure to shut Moose down in the midst of all of that. Another player with tier 1 experience, and of course, bringing the group together, making sure their mental is nice and even out. This is a huge kill onto Monsi in the midst of all of that. Chaotic, meanwhile, somehow gets one, but in the midst of all of that chaos, a clean sweep happens through A Heaven, making sure that Shopify Rebellion are able to just swarm in from all of the points and make sure to apply pressure on all of these different areas onto the A. Great job from Shopify Rebellion on that retake. Chaotic, though, going for the dimensional drift, and I spot an operator in Paint's hand, trying to stop anyone there as we get a Viper Spit deployed as well. It's going to be a B-side attack, though, and it's very fast.
I'm just going cross-eyed trying to keep up with this Yorus and where they end up gate crashing to, which is on the opposite side of the map. And Landor just focused their sights forward. A huge 2 from Teague and a Viper Spit on the post plant. Well, I guess pre-plant that's going down now. And SRB, the aftershock. It's trying to get the planter out of position. Not in time, though. The objective is down. Got the Tejo drone from BCJ right inside of the pit to try and find where this Viper is. And Moose fires back in the biggest of ways. Keeps SRB at bay while the rest patrol the perimeter. Pancakes and Monsi at least recover the op, but it doesn't really matter. You can't even get a bird's eye view of the situation. Monsi will have to save.
And honestly, that was just a nice, fast play coming through from Landor. I love the way that they kind of go through things, use the dimensional drift, immediately Shopify Rebellion. So just diligent with knowing the speed that Landor can play at. As soon as they hear the dimensional drift, expect it to just be a full send onto A. We see the Viper Split deploy. It just goes all according to Landor's plan as they go, haha, we're on the B side now. And they just rush in completely uncontested and get their stuff set up. Like, that round was over so quickly. And sure, Shopify Rebellion, they try to contest it. They use a little bit of speed in their own gameplay to try and get a timing, maybe prevent the spike down, maybe find a lucky pick. But it actually works out against them because they're not coordinated as they flood in and just kind of trickle in one by one, allowing Landor to just pick them off as they fly in through Heaven. So a great round from Landor. That was an excellent kind of tempo speed that we saw them use. I'm curious if we're going to see that again as Chaotic gets quite a few bullets in there, but Paint ready for it with Shorty in hand.
There's no way Paint won that. And he popped down to 0 for this op, but is going to trade it to Monsi. Chaotic had such a good chase down, but who expects a shorty and a smoke? But wait a minute, Landor are really pressing their luck. And now the carpet bomb into screens. Landor just have to wait and watch. Actually, there's still some space for SRB to work with. The double swing, a little staggered. Capitalized on by Landor. In a 2-on-1 spot in the post plant. Pancakes, 1v1, can't win it against Bones. Landor back in the lead.
And I wonder too if that was an intentional play to make sure that the Armageddon covers all the way out there and leaves that little empty gap at the end there. But at the same time, like, it got the job done. It not only forced some people out from that little cubby there, but at the same time, forced the remaining agents into exactly where you know that they are. And so it's just easy pickings from that point on. You've got the utility to make sure that you can capitalize on it. So excellent usage of the Armageddon from Teague. Make sure that nothing weird can kind of happen there, and Landor are back in the lead right now, up by 2 rounds, as we're seeing that speed just kind of take over their strategies thus far. This looks a lot more comfortable as Shopify Rebellion are the ones who are on a little bit of a save. BCJ the only person with a rifle in hand.
Yeah, we just didn't even get to see SRB shine with the op. It's just Chaotic is really matching the playstyle of Pain, of gate crashing aggressively, flanking behind. SRB have to worry about flankers from the Landor side, which is not even just Chaotic, it's Moose as well. Forgot about these early round shenanigans. And now the plant goes through and got a Hero Vandal from BCJ and a Rolling Thunder in a 3v5. All depends on what Pancakes can accomplish on the flank, but for Moose to just be playing from spawn is not going to allow this to happen. Like, Landor are just always one step ahead.
Yeah, like, we see this just complete change around where, sure, they're using, like, it feels a lot more comfortable when they're moving in there, but they're also doing a good job of checking all of these spots that Shopify Rebellion might be hanging out in. And this is kind of that weird momentum shift that we're noticing right now, is when Shopify Rebellion can kind of take those proper engagements on top of them and really just shut them down and coordinate their utility, they look so good. Except Landor are just kind of running over them right now. And because they go fast, Shopify Rebellion have to kind of commit to some of those over rotations that are going through. It's really allowing Landor to control the pace of the map. And as a result of that, they just feel like they're always in the driver's seat of how these rounds play out.
Just the clone, the gate crash at the back of the side. I love the way Chaotic plays. Yoru Pancakes is in the sky. And it's not a bird, it's a dead guy. And Landor, 4 versus 3. The B-side's been very successful for them. And the aftershock forcing BCJ back. Sacred's, I guess, happy to take some tags there just to... Who would expect someone to be there? And oh, the draw! Yep. The timing! Sacred taking that damage pays off. Who expects someone to be there? You got salvos all over, man. Landor are just reading SRB like a book. And we've praised Monty's calling for SRB, but Landor's leadership and comms seem to be better throughout these maps.
Yeah, and at this point, like, Sacred's having a little bit of fun with it. It's moving around, got the shorty in hand, going through an aftershock. Not a care in the world. And quite frankly, like, Shopify Rebellion, they have these moments where they're, like, looking around, ready to receive the attack, and yet they're still kind of just getting run over. The utility combinations that are coming in from Landor look phenomenal, and Spaz has a real opportunity here to get a couple more ultimate orbs and should be able to stay alive in the midst of all of this, but it does get kind of down to the wire. So Landor now find themselves at 7 as the snowball is really starting to develop now. It really feels like this is a much more one-sided map than it was earlier in this half when things felt a lot more contested between both these squads.
Landor have strong starts, maybe because they're just a good attacking team. They went 10-2 on their attack on Lotus, so the SRB comeback started when they were on attack. And just based on how these Yours are playing, like, it's giving Split is so offense-oriented, just with how much space you're able to take. Speaking of that, dimensional drift, got a fault line hitting this defense. You got a paranoia too, and Monty is cut off from his own teammate. It sprays and prays, and God answered. Landor down for the count, back away from ramp. SRB gonna press their luck and re-peek into Landor, who are ready for it this time. Meanwhile, there's been already a spike be planted. You thought that fight mattered. Well, Landor get a lot of goals done at the same time. 1 for 1. You got jumping Buckies. You got BCJ in screens getting pressured. The defuse gets halfway, and it doesn't matter because Bones and Chaotic are there.
Yeah, and like you can see in the post plant where Landor are setting themselves up. They're not all kind of grouped up. You see that Shopify Rebellion are kind of expecting to just take a 1vx or are looking in another position, expecting one of those other players. And it's just that kind of like clear the corner and then you're good to go. In the midst of all that, I have to commend Shopify Rebellion. I thought that how they used their utility was excellent in kind of countering the pressure that originally Landor had laid down. I mean, there's a reason why that first kill went to Shopify Rebellion. The timing on the paranoia coming in from Spaz kept everybody alive, but it simply just wasn't enough. Like Landor just kind of fall back, and then they kick their feet up and are straight up chilling. Great job coming through from them. It's feeling a lot more cohesive right now as they get closer and closer, closing the series out potentially at 2-0. BCJ though, stunned up, doesn't matter. Finds Chaotic on the ropes, and that's going to deny a little bit more of that middle pressure. The Shopify Rebellion are watching both A and B like a hawk.
SRB just hold the perimeter. Got an op from Paint 2 that will get its way back towards B. With Pancakes currently smoked off. An important engagement to dictate if Landor can get head in control and then drop down into B. And if Moose gets lucky, he's actually getting solo Armageddon. Like, what did Moose do to you guys? Like, but SRB thought there was obviously way more people there.
Just a smidge. Now Sacred gonna go exploring, but Pain also has an operator on the other side. Shopify are doing a great job right now at mitigating this. Fault line goes in from Bones.
Okay. Got a little scared of the clone there. 2 versus 5 post plant. Bones has an op too. Ah, jeez. Armageddon is gonna split up SRB, and it's all up to Teague, and he just gets dwindled down. A good win, an 8-4 half. Certainly better than 10-2. That's just how math works. Felt like that SRB. They don't let Landor get too hot into the second half.
Yeah, now we can slap on educational as the tag for this stream, right?
Right?
Math class, yay! But I mean, obviously the Armageddon a little bit preemptive from Shopify Rebellion, but I still think that just kind of talks to the conditioning that Landor were really doing there. BCJ finding the pick of a lifetime mid-air, and then Paint being able to follow up as well, surviving the Armageddon in the midst of all of that. Shopify Rebellion keep their head on a swivel. Once again, it really just felt like on that defense, when they played together, even if they didn't necessarily have all the utility in the world, it felt deathball-y. It felt like they were able to just muscle their way over the Landor players. But when Landor just introduced a little bit of chaos, had someone jump around the corner with a shorty in hand, things like that, that's when it all started to fall apart. 4-8 in this half. Shopify Rebellion need to pull this map back if they want to make this map number 3 happen. Otherwise, Landor are looking for a good opportunity to close this one out.
Triple walk up from Landor, clears BCJ, and just off the Viper wall that SRB had for B, I really like it because it could sell a fake, create a lot of paranoia, and the site's already small enough. Not just to let SRB get into the site. Now a good tag, good ping, as Landor chased them down with the salvos, force SRB into an engagement. That Paint clears it with a big double kill. 3 versus 3. Pancakes goes exploring with him. The smokes, better teamwork comes out. Teague is left alone again. While the spike is planted, can be in a worse position and can snuff out all the targets in time as SRB take the pistol.
Yeah, great stuff there. I was going to say, like, you saw Sacred prime the paranoia. They obviously were able to stun them up and then had the salvos to deny them from rotating around. An excellent little trap kind of getting set up from Landor. But the decision to hold the paranoia instead was the folly of Landor that time. Paint walks away with 2 kills, and that just denies all of the pressure that Landor were kind of hoping to come in from B. And so as a result of that, we are going to be seeing Shopify get the pistol, an important one for them to stay on top of things here. It's going to be a pretty big util dump as Pancakes ready to just pounce on Chaotic. Wow.
Chaotic, I can respect trying to go for a big play. Just unfortunately gamble that, you know, the entirety, almost entirety of SRB are over at A. Now the Peiho drone into heaven. Offensive gate crash for SRB, not going to be taken yet, especially with that defensive Viper wall coming out, but clearing Bones as soon as he peeks. And now the gate crash activates and SRB inch their way forward. No high ground control, but it's smoked off, so a window for SRB to stay safe.
Once again, another one of those moments where Shopify Rebellion, understanding the aggression that Landor might completely run at them with, just take a step back, wait for them to push in, and have your guns ready and pointed in different directions to make sure that anything that happens, you're ready to just shut it down. This isn't one of those matches where you're just running away with rounds after round. You got to play this very methodically, and we see Shopify Rebellion really starting to respect Landor, not that they weren't before, but make sure that they are playing with that level of diligence so that Landor don't get any cheeky kills or any cheeky weaponry, because you know that Landor can really turn things around if they wanted to.
And for Spaz to take all these weapons into the bone. Oh, sorry, my bad. My bad. Well, it's a pistol anyway, who cares? But it's mostly every weapon, as I imagine Paint will buy up. And this is the type of comeback you wanted to see out of SRB, because if they didn't win that pistol, it was going to be very, very dire with Landor being already up to 8. Now that you have this rifle buyout from Landor, it's about how can Chaotic find some peace and quiet, you know, not run into the entirety of SRB, find this open space where you could get a flank going.
Yeah, and it's so hard on that Yoru, right? Because traditionally what you see is a lot of repositioning going on. Like you see the gate crash get tossed on one end, and then immediately the Yoru will go exploring on another. But if they just kind of shut the Yoru down before the gate crash can happen, then a lot of that pressure gets taken out completely, exactly like that. Paint goes down.
Yeah, just Chaotic was unaffected by the fault line and went deeper. Even the salvos were deep towards the heaven door rather than at the front end of ramps. So a gap that Chaotic's able to find, but it was eventually traded. SRB make headway towards site. Heaven and screens for Landor as they hope to converge together. Still a paranoia from Sacred, throws it out. It is gonna affect Spaz, and he's cleared by Chaotic. And he's out to frag too. The duelist, the janitor on duty, snuffed out by Pancakes. As Landor did their best to, on their rifle round, really kick SRB to the curb.
Yeah, and at that point too, like that's just kind of Chaotic getting in there, getting in the midst of all of it, introducing a little bit of chaos and taking down enough members of Shopify Rebellion so that the rest of Landor have a smooth sail in time as they kind of just take over one by one, just clearing out all these different angles here. But yeah, it was such an important pick on a Paint there. Spaz somehow able to mitigate it back, turn it back around in their favor. And it was looking like a nice and easy plant. It was a good job from Shopify to just clear everything out of that site, but wasn't enough to take us across the finish line. It's going to be full buy now for Shopify Rebellion, as it's going to be a potential slower take this time around. The spike is down in sewer. Paint spots somebody out, but Paint goes down. Sacred just finding that pixel angle. Make sure that the duelist is no more, and that's a lot of that kind of confusion and the backstab just taken away from Shopify Rebellion. They no longer have that mobility of the Yoru, and importantly, they start to just kind of be a bit more exploratory before they decide to commit on any of these sites.
Ooh. And Landor, I found a lot more success not being aggressive on ramp and just holding that side. They've gotten first blood back to back, but this is this fault line and the salvos, Pancake gets to chase down on Sacred. Not having that paranoia, not having the smokes. Landor are going to miss out on that, and Chaotic's flank gets finally activated, coming through mid. And now that Landor have cleared the whole left side of the map, only one place SRB can be is Pancakes was hoping to cut them off as they came through ropes. A good read on the rotations from SRB, but this dimensional drift is what's gonna really cause some issues. At least BCJ tries to assist Pancakes in this moment and helps against the Yoru problem.
Flank.
But there's more around. It's Moose and Bones coalescing towards BCJ, who's living as best as he can, just buying time for the spike to go off. Salvos force back to one, eventually presses through his own salvos, loses it to Moose. And now Lando have to quickly get towards the spike. It's only Monsi. He's just playing the aftershock to see if he's gotten enough time. And I guess for his efforts, he gets Stieg, but will be a defuse for Landor.
Yeah, good pressure from Landor. Crunching in there. Moose on the flank as well. You can't let Moose slide by like that, because that's going to be such a thorn and forcing BCJ into an almost impossible scenario. Still BCJ making the most of it. Excellent use of the salvos to buy just a little bit more time. But really, it just came down to this beginning round. Sacred able to find Paint, making it so much more difficult for Shopify to do anything. Pancakes trying to come alive, but really just the map control feels so securely in the hands of Landor in the midst of all of it. Chaotic is getting so much space for free, which gives Landor the read as to where Shopify Rebellion are going, and Chaotic's able to usually get a couple of kills every now and then, and that really just makes it so much more difficult before the round really even begins.
I thought you were going to want to use this dimensional drift for the ramp fight, but SRB are confident in the salvo fault line to oppress Landor. And as soon as SRB get on the site from the dimensional drift, they use the Viper's Pit. SRB are not going to extend into screens, but the Bucky up close is going to hurt. Taylor should be revealing what's on the menu if Landor dare to step into this, but an Outlaw can watch overhead. A lot of angles being taken by Landor. There's a paranoia that barely messes SRB. And just with the classic Sacred, Zabe and friends able to take down this pit, but the spike is ticking down, and SRB just have to protect it. And they frag, and they fight tooth and nail, and it's not enough. Back-to-back retakes for Landor. This is going to be really close. And no, misses by 0.18.
Down to the wire. I was gonna say, like, it was such an interesting way. The fact that Landor were taking so long to kind of get into the mosh pit there, it seemed a little bit too slow for me. And of course it was going to be a brawl. We've seen the attacking just, now that we're into the pit, no one can see anything. Let's just kind of shoot around and hope for the best there. And that was exactly what we were expecting. But it was just a little bit too slow from Landor. Literally 0.18 seconds too slow from Landor. And unfortunately for them, like, they had all the kills necessary. They could have won that one out, but end up losing it. Now their economy is a little bit broken. Teague, the only one with a rifle in hand. It's a different look from Shopify. This time, they're going to be interested in moving in onto this B site. Decoy already going up here, so a little bit of information given away. Keep an eye out. Pancake's very far deep onto the flank to deny any of that map presence that we've seen Landor take, especially on mid. So should be the spike down nice and easy here for Shopify. As never mind, Chaotic already going in, and they're taking this before it goes down.
And Moose just sneaks up on them, dropping down from heaven, and you would have hoped Pancakes could have flanked in time towards the high ground, and this is very winnable for Landor. Bones even picks up a stinger, dodges the Armageddon. The spike is down, and that's still something SRB have to focus on, giving time for Bones to get a wraparound. SRB still think he's at the backside, but after time goes by, Pancakes is going to be pretty paranoid. Salvos are not going to cause too much movement, and Pancakes studies his aim and makes sure to close out the round for SRB that keep themselves within 2 of Landor.
And quite frankly, I was going to say that was an excellent read from Landor, knowing exactly kind of when to pounce onto the site, catch your opponent off guard completely, make it that much easier for you to be able to find those kills. You can tell Shopify Rebellion are like, okay, they're just going to hang back. This is our opportunity to move in there and get the spike down. We can get ourselves, oh my goodness, they're flooding in. What the heck is going on? And it's chaos. So Landor really just picking their timing there. But unfortunately, I think due to the weapon difference and the need to go and pick up those rifles, it opens up an opportunity for Shopify Rebellion to find a couple more kills and keep the numbers in their favor, ultimately winning out the round. It's now 8-10 as we are seeing Landor go for their time out now, as they want to make sure that they can close this one out, because Shopify are really making a good case for themselves. So once again, force out map number 3. It's definitely in the cards.
I mean, SRB just have such a solid plan for B. Just have the Viper wall up, gate crash in, clear out the kind of left side of the site, put down the wall, look at heaven, and just, yeah, sometimes Moose is on the low ground in the corner and he kind of catches you. I think Landor just playing that close in that round is really impressive. I think the A side is where it feels like a real toss-up, where Landor's retakes are sometimes fast enough, but sometimes not, like sometimes by 0.18. So that is a real toss-up to see if it goes that side, but Chaotic bought an op and gets the take on B and teleports very far away. So SRB are like, damn, is there an op over there? Now what do we do?
Once again, Paint is that kind of highlight player for Shopify Rebellion. And I think that Landor have been doing a amazing job at making sure that Paint has a very difficult time trying to do any of the shenanigans that we've seen him do in the previous split. Immediately just shut down, and Chaotic still holding this angle with an op regardless. Shopify kind of want to force the issue here. Gate Crash is going to be gone though, so Chaotic has to play this a little bit more careful.
Oh, another shot from Chaotic, now confirmed, and Spaz is gonna stick the ult. The paranoia gets the op, but the salvo too, and Moose defends well as Landor try to reestablish in and off the dimensional drift from Chaotic. He's flashing up SRB. Monty and BCJ are gonna scramble. Chaotic is safe in the smoke, and Landor come out from all angles to pick apart SRB one by one.
The fact that Chaotic stays alive in the midst of all of that chaos was the key to the solution that is this Landor defense right now. Staying alive in the midst of it, causing so much confusion, calling out the exact locations thanks to the dimensional drift, allowing an excellent fault line, excellent paranoia coming through. And then in the midst of all of that too, Sacred drops a smoke perfectly so that Chaotic can come right back into the fray without getting caught in the midst of all of it. It was so well done and orchestrated from Landor, just off of a little bit of a nifty play, and already an Armageddon goes loose. Chaotic is looking to go hunting, but nothing found off of that Armageddon besides a little bit more space as Pancakes had to respect that. But look at this, there's a lot of rats in the sewer as Chaotic has to escape because that's way too much pressure coming in from Shopify Rebellion.
When SRB fumbled at B, like Landor, I like that read that maybe they'll try at A because that's been pretty 50-50. Pop the Armageddon early. You got SRB all disjointed. And on a save round, Landor want to bring as many weapons as they can and to get themselves up to match point and potentially even close this out in a sweep to put SRB on the brink of elimination, being 1-3 if they do lose this. You don't get to see Teague with the op too often. It's been a lot more viable from Paint in that regard. And Teague has now been suppressed or just pressed back. His line of sight will have to change, giving a window for SRB to plant in. Paint with the Guardian, be happier to sit back and try to frag against Landor once the smokes dissipate. And now that that's gone, Landor just going to play the side lane to see if is SRB going to get desperate with pistols for the saves that they do have. And Landor are rotating through ropes. The Viper Wall is what's separating Monty and Spaz from the rest of the team. And there is the commit. SRB foot on in, and Landor do wipe the floor with SRB. Just Paint to go with the Guardian. And Landor get up to match point, series point.
Yeah, great stuff coming in from Landor yet again.
Team Ace.
It's a little bit of a frag out, a little bit of a punch out, a brawl in heaven. But of course, the better weaponry is going to always come out on top. Landor now looking to send Shopify Rebellion home, but they've only got one more round to do so. They do have that Rolling Thunder online from Bones. Excellent little just play there from Teague. Make sure that that happens. And yeah, it's just, you know, you try and force the issue, but you're walking into too much of a trap there. Paint trying their best to stay alive in the midst of all of it. We're seeing now it is going to be Shopify Rebellion going for that second timeout. Been a little bit better in this second half between these two teams there, but still, like I'm just watching Landor go for these set plays, and it looks so clean and practiced, which is something that you don't really expect from this squad. Yeah, sure. You know, Trust and Plug, they're a team that have been playing together. Of course, they had a couple of changes since moving over to the Landor branding, but you don't, this is like stuff that you would expect from the Shopify Rebellion side. The level of coordination that's kind of coming in, the calls that are being made to make sure that all these different areas are cleared out, or Chaotic can just kind of run in there. And Chaotic has been having a game and a half, making sure to find so many different angles. Sure, does find that opening kill every now and then, but more or less is very well supported by the rest of Landor's utility. And I think that that has been making a huge impact every single time at the beginning of these rounds, which is stopping Shopify Rebellion from, you know, making any meaningful progress right off the bat. They have to be so respectful about the utility that Landor is kind of utilizing to make sure that Chaotic can maximize value.
SRB had pings all over B. They had this whole plan. Let's start with just send paint, go kill, use the Viper wall. Same protocol from SRB. But how do they deal with Chaotic? SRB were waiting to see what the move was going to be, and Pain has to hold his own. Chaotic has been dispatched. The op is still in hands of Sacred, and he's on his way. And Moose is not going to waste any time. He wants to get the cutoff on SRB, but the Viper wall is up. Now that that's gone, there's a lot for Moose to deal with. Only goes 1-for-1. Sacred in a 1 versus 2. Definitely possible. And this would be a legendary win if he could pull it off. Get a Guardian Angel on him for Lotus. Excited to see what he can do. And SRB took that timeout. Hoping to build a win streak, kind of like they did when they were down 5-12 on that previous map. Sacred knows that they haven't planted yet. 34 seconds. Be a long rotation if they went all the way to A. And the first one down. The immediate push from Spaz. The miss on the flick. The teleport out. And it's Spaz that saves the day.
Oh, my poor heart. Oh, man. There was a real possibility there that Sacred was able to close that one out. And I like what we got to see from Shopify Rebellion on that last round. Amidst all the chaos there, of course, the Yoru, Chaotic so far forwards there, but they're thankfully able to trade off of it. And meanwhile, they just kind of finesse Paint into the backline to cause a little bit more chaos. So then that way, Chaotic no longer has that support, which is very key in making sure that Chaotic can find multi-kills right off the bat. And so they're able to effectively trade off of Chaotic, which means that they can next move in properly. Of course, Paint just acting as kind of that big distraction in the middle of all of the chaos. So great stuff coming in from Shopify. They needed to do it 3 more times to force this overtime scenario. Well, this time, it does feel like Landor. A little bit slower this time around. Off the fault line, Chaotic. Tried to get a little bit nifty, but Shopify Rebellion so aware of it this time. Now just making sure that they're ready to receive any additional aggression.
Oh, the gate crash is right behind this breach. See if Paint commits. And just with that pick, now he does. An important 1v1. And Bones crumbles under pressure. Couldn't react in time to flood in. The successful for SRB. Just off of dealing with that nuisance of a duelist of Chaotic. An important 1v1 solo play that Landor tried to go for. Nets nothing. Now they're at a man disadvantage. The 2 rifles that were bought up. Different angles being taken. Keep in mind there's a backstab opportunity for Pancakes as he comes through ropes into heaven. We'll see who will strike first as Landor lay down suppressing fire. Now, I think Moose senses something from ropes and started to watch his back. Sacred is down, and this is not looking winnable for Landor. And Moose already starts to head back for a save.
Yeah, you just got to hold on to that rifle. The economy going to be in shambles for Landor. Shopify find themselves onto double digits, and at this point, surely we see a map 3, right? Like it's getting even closer between these two teams. A very dominant round from Shopify Rebellion, as this will break the economy of Landor. So this is definitely on the horizon right now. Unless we see Landor go for that patented aggression out front and Shopify Rebellion are not able to receive it. These last couple of rounds, they're waiting. They're ready for Chaotic to just kind of move in there to shut him down immediately. But at this point, Landor should be aware of that, so they're not going to be just sending Chaotic in to his death, and hopefully we'll support that a little bit better, as it looks like it's going to be pressure in on mid now. A lot of just tension in the air. You can feel it. Shopify Rebellion on the brink of coming in and forcing this overtime.
Spaz is scaring me. And he frags Moose. He goes for it, teleports back, and kills Moose. I think just how you're able to activate these lurks is everything this map. where Moose had a better start, but Pancakes is having a better end just from that backstab play onto Heaven over at A. Pancakes got the job done. Now Moose won't be able to give Landor any additional options, but at least Landor are stacked together with what weapons they were able to get. SRB, a good read of how many were in mid. SRB try to outrace Landor to the site, and with a Viper wall still in place, they could try to cross and block that vision as Teague is nearby, suppressing SRB, denying the breach kill for now. Meanwhile, the spike was teleported using the Omen ult all the way to A, and Landor are behind on the race.
Go ahead.
Where are they? Oh god, Chaotic is not letting SRB plant. You got a rolling thunder. This was enough time being bought. SRB, they out-rotated them. They thought they outthunk them, but Landor just shoot better. And SRB are staring down the barrel of a 2-0, and it's all up to Monsi. And there's nothing left. 13-10 for Landor to sweep Shopify Rebellion Black, your stage 1 champions.